Hari Om. Good evening to everyone for our wonderful session of Kindle Live. We are on chapter number 30, part number 2 now, and we are going to complete the part 2, carry on with part 3. But before we go any further, today is an exceedingly special day, and we are so fortunate that we are doing Kindle Live when this day arrived. Today is the birth of Shri Krishna, our Lord, Lord Narayan himself, who's taken an avatar as Shri Krishna. We all know that Shri Krishna was the 8th avatar of Vishnu. And what to speak about his glory? He is famous everywhere in the world also. So let us today remember him first before we go ahead.
Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nath Narayan Vasudeva He Nath Narayan Vasudeva बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
What a blessed country of ours, where we get so many opportunities to remember our ideals and ideals. Let us read further of the story or of the narration of another ideal who is right behind us, our Gurudev. So, the ideals that inspire me positively and chasten the labor are the noble ideals. The spirit of freedom, the spirit of reverence to your country, the spirit of sacrifice for the sake of society are all inspiring ideals. Under such ideals, mighty men have done great, ennobling activity in the world, and fruits of their actions are enjoyed by the future generations for many years. So, the higher the ideal that inspires an individual, the nobler is the action that he does in the world outside.
After all, to enter with a concealed dagger in your coat, to jump over the wall of a private house, to cut off the bars of a window, to move stealthily forward into the house, to see whether anybody is awake by watching the rhythm of the sleeping person, then to go to your victim, to plunge the dagger into that man, murder him, and quietly, stealthily, and successfully to retire from the scene into the road. All this is no joke. It is a huge task indeed. It calls for many vital qualities of individual personality to do it efficiently. But what is the product of all this intelligence, smartness, courage and heroism? What is it? One member of the society is dead, and I, the murderer, thought, that rascal is out of the world and I shall be happy. But from that day onwards, I start finding that I am not at all happy. On the other hand, my peace and tranquility are broken because of the reactions that come into my mind. Action तो आपने कर ही दिया, but after the action, what your mind is reacting to?
The consequences of your bad action are going to remain with you throughout.
Really?
My best qualities are put forth in a piece of work inspired by negative thought. The goal in my mind is false, and even though the work is successfully accomplished, it is only a sad act of a callous murder. What a coincidence that nowadays in the news we are exactly listening about this, and this is what is happening. The point here is that the visionaries, the seers, our scriptures have told us that such acts will have these kind of consequences, and it is but being proved true. You are all working in the various departments. Remember, Gurudev is giving a speech to the people working in the secretariat of the government. You enter the secretariat, which is the center of the whole administration of a progressive country. However, when each individual is bending over his work, and on that little table, if the deal is not good, the work will not ultimately succeed. That is exactly what is happening with our plans. Our first, second, and third 5-year plans are wonderful.
Plans, the 5-year plans of the country, the first 5 year, second year, third year plans he is talking about.
Yeah, remember just after the independence, or just after having hard fought independence was won, everybody was very inspired, and the best of the people were undertaking the work. That is why the first 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan went well. Then what happened?
I'll read that. The best engineers, greatest thinkers, and the workers are working on project. Ultimately, when the minister comes to open the dam, it is found that the water cannot flow through the canals because the canal are a few feet
Above the water level.
above the water level. The work is no doubt accomplished, but something in the quality of the work is lacking. If you remember, we have continuously read in this book, it is not the quantity of the work that you put, but the quality is what makes the difference.
Excuse me.
This is a classical example. Morning to night, somebody is working, but what is he producing? He's producing something which is not going to be utilized for anybody.
Yes, in fact, a waste of finances, waste of energy, waste of thought process. If you are not working efficiently, your end result will be disastrous.
Why is this being said? Not so that we point out fingers, ki, yes, that is what the BMC is doing, that is what so and so person is, that is what. No, turn and see that the 3 fingers are facing towards us. Today, wherever we are a product of our own action. So let us look at this from our own point of view. Our Shastras say that work can bring forth real enduring result, not merely because of the quantity of the work put forth, but by the quality of inspiration under which man has undertaken the work. The greater the ideal, the bigger is the action and the product. The beauty of the action we are doing increases when the ideal on which we are working is noble and greater. A Mahatma Gandhi was only a barrister at law, a Gujarati barrister. He probably would have been a successful one if he had only looked after his wife and children. But what would have he been total turnout of his work? On the other hand, the same individual, the same physical entity, when he was inspired by the ideal of his country's freedom, was a different person, a Mahatma.
How the transformation of a barrister into a Mahatma, from somebody in South Africa to the father of the nation in India, only and only because of the high ideal.
Even if he had failed to bring about our present day freedom, the heroism, the historians cannot avoid mentioning him as a great soul. It is because of the change in the moral vision of the country and of all the thinkers of the world that he brought about, and the quality of work that he turned out. The quality of it has been higher and nobler because of the high ideals that inspired him. Simple action. Saying no, I will not accept your hegemony on me. I am free from birth. My country is free. I will not follow what you say. I will do what is right.
So imagine when to use that no also one should know.
The Buddha, the Prince of Compassion, could work so beautifully, and his work is not forgotten by anyone. There are very many Pandits. Here, Pandit means very intelligent, highly learned person,
Educated.
not necessarily only a person who is a Brahmin. There are very many Pandits in Benares and Sarnath, a very many bhikshus functioning in the world, but their names are not coming out. We are not feeling indebted to them much because the inspiration and the ideals with which they are working are not so noble and serene. The nobler the ideal, the greater you and I shall discover the efficiency coming out of ourselves. Think of this. The examples are very clear in front of us in our daily life. In the night, if you feel thirsty, you'll say, let it be, I'll sleep, I'll drink it in the morning. But if your baby, if your child says, Dad, I need a glass of water, give me something to drink, immediately you'll shake off.
You're alert, you get up immediately.
Why? Because the ideal is slightly higher. Not just made up my own thirst, but my child's thirst.
Elegant.
Please.
Now think, suddenly you hear that your house is on fire. You rush therein and find
The
entire house is in flames. And the fire brigade is standing helpless. At that time, you find your wife walking out of the fire with a child in hand. When you make enquiries, you hear, spellbound, the thrilling news that the child was sleeping upstairs in a room. In the panic, everybody ran, helter-skelter, and then the mother remembered the child. They asked the fire brigader man to save the child. The man, in spite of his 40 years of experience, said, Ma, no human being can go inside. The whole thing is ablaze. The mother immediately forgets everything, and in a hysterical ecstasy, she runs into the fire. Nobody is expecting that she would come out, or she would come out like a pakoda. On the other hand, you find that not even her sari was burned. She rushes to the room, takes the child and comes out. After this incident, tell her to go near the fire, and she is afraid. Her efficiency has gone, but under the inspiration of the great love for her child, she could do miracles. If that is the potentiality of human mind,
Can't she live 24 hours of the day as a heroine? No, it is not possible. She cannot because she has not got the inspiring goal. So an ordinary man may be a coward, but when he is inspired by a great ideal, you find that out of himself he pulls out miraculously a new strength of energy and vitality.
I'm sure each one of us have experienced this at some point of time or the other.
What is the indication Gurudev is making towards us? Swamiji, Gurudev is saying that work whenever with an inspiration. Don't just work with inspiration. And then what happens is a new column of energy, new energy of vitality comes from you. And that vitality is seen. In any case, you have to do your work. Why not do it with energy and force and with a higher ideal? Supposing now, God forbid, your wife is seriously ill. You have no more leave available. She is ill at home and you are working in office. Your sister is called to look after your wife during the day. You take your turn in the evening and night. You serve your wife all the night. For months together, you do not have a chance of going to sleep. Out of sheer love for your wife, you do not feel tired. From her sick bed, she says, "Darling, you go to bed. Please sleep. You have to work in the daytime. It is my prarabdha." Wife says, "It is my prarabdha. I will suffer. You may sleep, please." The man replies that he is not feeling sleepy at all. After 1 month of 24 hours every day, the man says he is not feeling tired. Can it be possible? It is possible under that situation which Gurudev is speaking about. The love for the wife has so much of care in that that he forgets his physical pain, physical sleep, physical tiredness, and he is ready to sacrifice his sleep in the night, and he is ready to do his work in the day so that he brings bread home, so that he gets the very vital finance which is required to continue at home. This is the part where we speak of inspiration. Where do you draw your inspiration from? Remember, Gurudev has said before, the higher the inspiration, the higher the energy and vitality comes to you. We have seen two examples here, one of a child in the fire, one of a wife. Both examples are where personal, interpersonal relationship. How is it that this much of energy came out of him? Ordinarily, it is admitted that by 5 o'clock we are tired. Not because we did anything, but because we are tired. Now, on the other hand, when my wife or child is ill, out of my love for them, I discover in myself new energy, which no medical man or health minister can explain. We discover it in ourselves. If that much of energy and efficiency are there concealed in ourselves, what is the secret mechanism by which we can take them out? Discovering a goal or vision in life, a great ideal to inspire, surroundings. Actually, that word is surrendering.
It is not surrounding, so please correct, it is surrendering.
Surrendering oneself to that ideal and working in the world outside seems to be the secret of discovering new dynamism in our activities. We need to put our attention on this paragraph very much, because this is so called as the secret mantra of removing or getting that unbelievable inspiration and energy and vitality from us. We thereby raise the very standard of activity in us and thus bring about a great happiness in the world outside. The goal each one will have to discover. Our goal should be discovered by our own self. There was a time when the goal was dharma or religion. Remember that beautiful mantra of Bhagavan Shri Krishna? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. What he means by that dharma? That when the righteousness in the world falls down, I shall come there to re-establish, not to make new dharma, to re-establish the old dharma, what was the Rita or Rita. The goal each one will have to discover. There was a time when the goal was dharma or religion. Today it is not. I do not think that merely an ideal of God or the ideal of Virata Narayana is sufficient to inspire. This is Gurudev saying himself. Imagine the pain that he must be feeling when he was speaking these words. That in today's time, Bhagwan cannot inspire anyone and everyone. That only righteous living cannot be the inspiration. Dharma cannot be the inspiration. However, he had an answer and a solution for that. Therefore, we like to take up an activity and creative thought for the country and society. This seems to be actively occupying our minds. So to serve the country, to serve a huge nation like ourselves, which is as backward as it is now, each one will point alone. Means you have to do yourself also. Only when each and every individual of our country works with this inspiration, then it is possible. Each one will have to shoulder at his own place. The typist is a typist, the clerk is a clerk, the superintendent, the politician, everyone will work on. Means whatever work that you are employed with, Do it as a service to the nation. Not just because 5 to 9 is your work and at the end of the year month you will be getting salary so that your house is running. No. Because that work is serving the nation. Raise the bar of your ideal.
Gurudev has also said in so many of his wonderful sayings that if you cannot do some great work, do even your small work in a great fashion. And that will help contributing towards the development of your nation.
And thus you will convert your little table or corner of activity as the Vrindavana. You know what is Vrindavana?
Of course. Who doesn't?
Where Bhagwan Shri Krishna lived his childhood, but not the very childhood. First he lived in Gokula, and then from there he went to Vrindavan.
Mathura, Gokula, and then he went to Vrindavan.
A Vrindavan where you are playing with the mighty Lord who is the destiny of the country and who guides it at all times, each one going about his work with as much as serious nerve and ability as possible, with a vision of noble country and progressive nation in himself. This thought should be there. Keep a hand on your heart and then say, my work is a dedication to the nation. Whatever I do work, it is for the service of my nation. And see the glow that comes on your face. I am not suggesting this only to the secretariat workers. This is true for factory man, the industrialist also. If the selfish industrialist think that he will make all the money and leave it to his wife and children, he is thoroughly mistaken. In that spirit, no country can grow independent. He should think that he is to produce more for the benefit of the society. With that ideal, when he is working, the politician or the economic salvation of the country is possible. Think, your own ideals of work become chastened. The individual thereby gains an immense amount of reward, not in terms of cash, not in terms of money returned by the society, but in the spirit of joy that arises out of a bosom which has done the action rightly at the right time. What a beautiful thing. I will talk about this joy of action, joy of achievement in the next lecture, which we are going to start just now. Joy of action, joy of achievement. Joy, the reward of achievement. Talk 3. On the opening day, we tried to find out the inevitability of action. Action itself is an expression of life, and therefore all of us, so long as we live, cannot avoid action. And yet, while acting according to the intention and purpose with which individuals act in the world, acts of man can fall under 3 categories: sheer labor, inspiring work, and achievement. In all these 3 type of works, whether it is low or high, the worker as such is one and the same, but the enduring result will come only when we are acting with the attitude of a man of achievement. This is a very important statement. On the other day, somebody had asked us the question, how to move from one category to another category to third. Now we know that even if you feel that you are at the labor category, your mind's attitude should become as a man of achievement, to surrender every activity that you do to the Lord and do it to the best of your ability with full intention and efficiency. Yesterday, he means yesterday because he was speaking in a previous day, we tried to find out, in case there is the inevitability of action, how best am I to act on? How do we act? What makes me act? What are the personality layers that come to express themselves in action? If once I know this mechanism of action, then I probably will understand the technique and the art of adjusting my personality in such a way as the action of mine may fall under these highest types of activities. Activities that bring about achievement for me as well as for the society. When I then analyze and try to understand the mechanism of action, I find that the external world of stimuli through the sense organs are received by the mind, and the mind puts up these stimuli for the intellect to judge. The intellect judges it according to the vasanas that it has got, the ideas that the intellect had already gathered in the past. And thus, the intellect orders the type of responses with which I must meet the challenges of the world. So, this is the process. Stimuli comes in, stimuli gives it to the mind puts it to the the intellect goes deep into its vasanas, finds out the previous responses, and gives the same responses back again. The responses that come out of me are called actions, in order that the action may manifest through me while I am living. It is necessary that the world of stimuli must reach my personality through my sense organs, and when they come out of my personality, there is action from me. So, every action of an individual is the response to the external challenge.
It's his response to the external.
Yes, it is his response to the external challenge. A dead man is no more acting because the dead body is no more receiving any challenge from the outer world. No stimuli can reach him. So long as we are alive, the challenge must necessarily reach us. Whether there is a challenge that is received by us, our intellect must rightly or wrongly respond to the world outside. The responses are not in our control at this moment because they are according to the type of education or the type of vasanas that I have already gathered.
As I told you yesterday, that in case I see that purse on the footpath, the question is whether I am to return it to him or put it in my own pocket. At that moment, a man who is putting it in his pocket cannot be blamed. We cannot ask, why have you done it? It is clear that he got only one instruction for himself: pocket it. Why do you not worry about it? What is a fool who has lost it? You are intelligent because you got it, it is yours. 100 arguments like this are given by the intellect, and if you are morally a good man, immediately the very same intellect would argue 1,000 other arguments for the same instance, and you will say, that man's worry will be terrible. When he goes home, he will be in despair. So let me call him and give it to him. Even though it is his own purse, when I give it to him, he gains a joy, as if I have given him a charity for that much of amount. Let me enjoy it, and let me enjoy the joy of his smile. Now, both of these reactions to one and the same challenge. But in one intellect, there is only one way of reacting to it. Let me put it in my pocket. Another reaction is, let me give it back to him.
Yes, we take a break today over here. This chapter is a real eye-opener to all of us, and I am requesting each and every member who is listening, do refer to these books at least once a day. Just go and read it slowly and softly and analyze. Let the mind analyze the words of Gurudev, and slowly you will find a new light which will dawn from within. That light is called the knowledge, the true light of knowledge.
So today, let us end here. I hope all of you are going to be listening to Krishna's bhajans or remembering Sri Krishna at midnight tonight. Imagine our God is born, and the deeds that he did, the wonderful stories, they are there. So with these thoughts in mind, let us end this session with prayers.
Om Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।